field without getting cut up, without getting hurt too bad. And they were trying to hurry as fast as they could go. And as they were making their way through this field of grass, one of those warriors had fallen behind. So those other three would wait for him to catch up, and they told him, "Come on, hurry. We got to get home before it gets dark." Now the reason for that is because all Native peoples know that during the day, that's when good things and good people are out. But during the nighttime, that's when the bad things come. That's when bad people come. So they were trying to get home before it got dark. And so they were going as fast as they could. But that one young warrior that kept falling behind, he told his friends, he says, "Can't you guys hear that?" He said, "Hear what?" "Shh, listen." So they all stopped and they all tilted their heads and they were listening. Way off in the distance, they could hear the sound of a baby crying. And this kind of freaked them out because they knew it was almost dark time. They said, "We better go. If there's a baby out there, its parents must be close by. Let's just go and not worry about this. Let's get home." That one young warrior, he says, "How can I call myself a man if I do not go and check on this baby? Maybe this baby's in trouble. Maybe his parents are lost. Maybe he's all by himself or herself. I have to go and see." But his friends were like, "Well, what if it's not a baby? What if it's a bad spirit? What if it is a mountain lion? What if it's something bad just trying to lure you out there? It could eat you. Please, brother, don't go out there. Let's just go home." But that warrior, he says, "No, I cannot. I have to go and see. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't go and check." He asked his friends, he said, "I don't ask you to come with me, but will you wait right here for me? If I don't return, you guys go on home." So those warriors said, "Okay, my brother, my friend, we'll stand here. We'll wait for you." That warrior disappeared in that tall grass. And those three warriors were standing there listening. And they could hear that baby crying for a little while. But after a few minutes, that baby crying stopped. So they stood there. They waited. And what they could hear was, it sounded like it kept getting louder and louder. So they got nervous, a little scared. So they took their arrows out, put it in their bows. One of those warriors grabbed his war club, and they were ready for whatever it was coming through that grass at them. But it was their friend. And he was carrying a little baby. And those warriors were like, "Oh man, you scared us. But you did a good thing. You done a great deed. You faced your fear. You went out there and you saved this baby. When we get back to the village, we're going to tell everybody about how brave you were, how you helped this child." So when they got back to the village, his friends, they took off and they started telling people. But that young man was carrying that little baby, that little child, and he was thinking to himself, "I'm not a father. I don't know how to take care of a baby. I can barely take care of myself. How am I going to take care of this baby?" So what he decided to do is he would take this baby to the elders. They've seen a lot of things and done a lot of things, and they would probably know what to do, what would be best for this baby. So he took this sleeping baby over to these elders and asked them what to do, and they talked about it for a little bit, and they decided upon that there was this young lady in the village. This young lady really loved children. She helped all the other young mothers with their children. But this young lady could not have children of her own. So they said she would make a good mother. We'll give this baby to her. And so they did. And this young lady, she was happy. She was excited. Finally, she is a mother. She held her sleeping baby in her arms. And her parents, they were happy and they were excited and they were proud. So they lit a big fire and they started cooking and they told everybody in the village, come and eat, feast with us and meet our newest addition to our family. Everyone's welcome, come on. And so everybody in the village came. They all ate very well. They all sang, danced, told stories. Those warriors that brought that baby told everybody about how brave their friend was. And everyone was coming by, taking a look at that baby, you know, pinching its cheeks, playing with its little feet and its little hands. But nobody noticed that that baby slept through everything. So after the fire had burned low, after everyone returned to their lodges, that young mother, she lived with her mom and dad. So her mom helped her make a little spot for that baby to sleep. They put the baby down. The mother and father went to bed. But that young mother, she couldn't sleep because she was so happy. She was finally a mom. So she sat up and started making shoes for her little baby. And as she was making these shoes, she got the first one done. And after she finished that first one, she heard screams, terrible screams. Screams, grandmas, grandpas. Screams, moms and dads. Screams, little boys, little girls. This made her afraid. She jumped up, went to her mother and father's bed, and she said, Father, wake up! There's something wrong with our people. I hear them screaming. They need your help, Father. Go help them, go help them. And he jumped up out of bed. He ran and grabbed his war club, his shield, his bow and arrows, and he ran outside to face whatever it was. But when he got outside, he looked around and he noticed everyone was asleep in their lodges. So he came back in the house. He said, Daughter, do not worry. You are safe. It must have been a bad dream. But Father, I was awake. I know what I heard. Daughter, it must have been your imagination. Everyone is asleep in their lodges. You're okay. I'm going back to bed. And so her father, he went and put his things away. He went back to bed and got back to sleep. That young lady, she knew what she heard. But she was comforted a little bit by her father's words. Because he did go outside, he did check, made sure they were safe, that they were okay. So she sat back down and began to make the second shoe for her child. She almost finished that second shoe whenever she heard those same screams again. But this time, instead of waking her father, she woke up her mother. She said, Mom, I keep hearing these terrible screams. Will you get up? And will you pray with me? It must be some evil spirit trying to come in and harm our family. Maybe trying to harm my baby. Please, Mom, pray with me. So her mother, she got up. She took her tobacco and her sage, her sweetgrass and cedar. She made that powerful smoke. She said those good prayers of protection to protect her family. And she went all around her lodge, all around her house, saying these prayers for peace and for happiness. And when she got where the little baby was laying, she started whispering her prayers as to not wake the baby. As she was standing, This is É-Yah, the village eater. We must be quiet. We must leave É-Yah laying there where he's laying. We have to get our friends and our family, and we have to leave as fast as we can before É-Yah wakes up. So they left É-Yah laying there. They went and gathered all their friends and their family, and they left for their winter camp. And now as they were leaving in a hurry, those 4 warriors that had brought that baby into the village, they were walking behind everybody to make sure everybody got away safely. And that one young warrior that had went and got that baby, he began to think, this is all my fault. If I had listened to my friends and just came home, none of this would have happened. We would not have to move. We would not have to leave this good place. I've put my friends and my family in danger. I have to make this right. So he decided that he would stay there. And if É-Yah woke up before his family got away, he would do battle with É-Yah and give his family enough time to escape. So he stayed there. And he watched as his friends and family disappeared into the horizon. And he stood there and he watched the lodge over here in this direction. And as he watched that lodge, É-Yah began to wake up. And as É-Yah was waking up, he started looking around. And he noticed that he was in a big, fine lodge. Now, if this is a nice house, there must be people that live in here. And if there's people and this lodge is really fine, there must be other lodges outside. Lots of people eat. Now see, É-Yah, when he hides, he can make himself look pretty. He can hide himself in just about anything. But his true form, he is a gigantic beast. A big monster with huge arms, a great big mouth, with little bitty legs. So he has to use his arms to get around. So as É-Yah was turning into his real self, he reached up and started grabbing the poles of that lodge, pulling himself up. And those poles snapped under his great weight, sending him crashing to the ground. And when he hit the ground, the earth shook. And that young man could feel the earth shaking, and he saw that lodge crumble. And he watched as É-Yah crawled out from under that broken lodge. Now when É-Yah crawled out from under that lodge, he looked around and saw there were no other lodges there. So this made him angry. He said, "Rah!" And he began to look around. And he found the footprints of the people. So he began to pull himself in that direction of where the people had gone. And as he was making his way in that direction, he saw that young warrior standing there by himself. And É-Yah was hungry. So he opened up his great big mouth. He started sucking things in. Trees fell, went into his mouth. Birds could not get away. He sucked birds in right out of the sky. And that young man could feel that wind pulling him, pulling hard. So he took his spear, he drove it into the ground, he held on for dear life. And É-Yah kept getting closer and closer. He got so close that that young man could smell the stench of É-Yah's breath. And he was so close that that young man knew if he didn't do nothing quick, he would die. So that young man pulled his spear up out of the ground and he ran as fast as he could towards É-Yah. But instead of going into É-Yah's mouth, at the last second he dove underneath É-Yah's head. He stood up underneath É-Yah and he cut open É-Yah's belly. And a bunch of people fell out. Those were the ones that were screaming. But now he took those people to their winter camp. And his friends and family helped those people get back on their feet. And they went back to wherever it was they came from. The boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. When that young man killed É-Yah, one of É-Yah's brothers had awoken in a cave far north from here. And he has made his way south. If you don't believe me, all you have to do is turn on the news and you see these villages that were in Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi. Those villages are gone. So you have to be careful what you take into your home. Be careful what you take into your life. One of your friends might say, here, try this. Smoke it, it'll make you feel really good. Drink this. You'll forget about all your troubles, all your problems. Like I told you, É-Yah can hide in anything. And if you take É-Yah into your life, when he wakes up, he will eat you alive. É-Yah's ability